Welcome to May, Gemini, the month where your voice returns and your power follows. You've been quiet lately, not necessarily in words, but in energy. Maybe people haven't quite seen you. Maybe you've been holding back, calculating, waiting. Maybe the world has felt a little too loud, too much, too unsure. But that shifts right now. This month isn't about trying harder. It's about showing up realer, about speaking what's true before it calcifies inside you, about letting curiosity guide your moves again, not obligation. And let's not forget the main event. Gemini season officially begins. The sun moves into your sign on May 20th, and with it comes a tidal wave of clarity, visibility, and new beginnings. Not just externally, but in your self-perception. You start remembering what it feels like to be in sync with yourself, in rhythm, in demand. And the world, it responds accordingly. You're not just coming back. You're coming home to your center with the confidence to speak, ask, create, connect, and be heard. Let's be honest, Gemini. Your relationships have felt like puzzles lately. Pieces everywhere, nothing quite clicking. And the more you've tried to read between the lines, guess what others want, or keep things light to avoid conflict, the heavier it's gotten. But May changes that completely. This is the month where your clarity becomes intimacy, with planetary energy activating your 7th house of partnerships early in the month, and Mercury, your ruling planet, sharpening communication. Love becomes less about guessing and more about naming. That doesn't mean you drop truth like a hammer. It means you offer it like a bridge. If you're partnered, the tone shifts around May 10th to 11th. An interaction might trigger something old, but you won't take the bait. Instead of reacting or retreating, you reflect. And when you speak, it lands. Gently, powerfully, and the air clears. You might finally say what you've needed to for weeks. This hurt, or I need more presence, or even I'm scared. And that vulnerability, it doesn't weaken the connection, it deepens it. If you've been coasting in a relationship, using charm to smooth over the deeper issues, May won't let you do that anymore. And that's good news. Because surface-level love doesn't work for the version of you you're becoming. The real you needs depth, not drama, consistency, not chemistry alone. And if the love isn't working, this month gives you graceful courage. You'll know when it's time to shift, and you'll do it without collapse, with kindness, with strength, and with your truth fully intact. For single Geminis, May is full of magnetic moments, but they're not where you expect. Yes, people are drawn to you, but not just because you're witty or quick. They're drawn to your depth. That's new, and it's powerful. This is the month where you stop performing in dating and start showing up fully. Someone might surprise you, not because they're flashy, but because they make you feel safe enough to be seen. And when that moment comes, you'll know, because you won't be calculating what to text. You'll be breathing easier. This month, you also begin to understand where emotional labor has been leaking. The friendships that feel one-sided, the check-in convos where you end up being the therapist, the people who like your light but disappear when things get real. You're not bitter. You're just done. Around May 17th to 19th, a relationship dynamic reaches a turning point. Whether it's a reconnection, a boundary set, or a realization about what you've been tolerating, something shifts and your heart exhales. Because what you're learning now is simple but seismic. You're allowed to want more connection, more emotional reciprocity, more peace, and less confusion. This isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about choosing to connect from your center, not your mask. Gemini, when your heart speaks in May, it won't just be heard, it'll be met by the people who deserve it. May delivers a surprising truth to your system. Slowing down is not the same as falling behind. In fact, slowing down might be the most revolutionary thing you do this month. You've been moving fast, not just in your schedule, but in your mind. Gemini, your brain is a constant hum of strategy, observation, reaction, interpretation, and it's brilliant. But it's also been overworked. And your body? It's been quietly begging you to listen. This month activates your sixth house of health and routine. And it doesn't nudge, it insists. You begin to feel where your systems are out of sync, where sleep isn't restoring you, where food feels dull or erratic, where your stress shows up as tension you didn't even realize you were holding. Maybe it's a digestive flare-up. Maybe it's a headache that hits the same time every day. Maybe it's a sudden wave of exhaustion that wipes you mid-conversation. Whatever it is, you can't override it anymore. But here's the magic. When you listen, it recalibrates. Fast. Around May 12th to 13th, there's an emotional moment tied to your physical self. A tearful release in the middle of a workout. A sudden burst of clarity mid-walk. A stretch that feels like a confession. These aren't breakdowns. They're breakthroughs. Don't resist them. Let your body speak. You may also feel called to simplify your wellness rituals, not because you're lazy, but because complexity is not what your nervous system needs right now. It wants consistency, water before coffee, movement that soothes, not punishes, sleep that isn't sacrificed for one more email, and most of all, screens that don't replace silence. May also invites a reframe on productivity. You're beginning to see that peak output isn't always tied to peak performance. Sometimes it's the day you step back that delivers the biggest creative insight. The walk, not the meeting. The rest, not the push. For some Geminis, a professional or practitioner shows up this month with information that shifts how you approach your health. Maybe a diagnosis, a nutrient tweak, or a therapeutic suggestion that changes everything. Or maybe it's simply a friend saying, "Hey, you've seemed off lately. What's up?" And in that moment, you realize you don't have to do it all alone. This is also a powerful time to notice emotional energy leaks masquerading as fatigue. That one friend who leaves you depleted. That habit of multitasking while eating. That background stress loop about your future. These micro drains are cumulative. And May helps you plug them, not through force, but through attention. If you're open to deeper healing, this is an incredible window for acupuncture, nervous system work, or even inner child healing. Anything that helps you feel more at home in your body is a yes. Because that's the truth of this month. Your body isn't a machine to be optimized. It's a partner. And when you stop ignoring it and start honoring it, it brings your brilliance back online in a way that's sustainable, centered, and real. So take the nap, drink the damn water, set the boundary, say no to that third Zoom call. Choose ease, not as a reward, but as a right. You're not falling behind by slowing down. You're preparing for your comeback. This month, something clicks in your professional life, not necessarily a promotion or external milestone, although that's possible, but something far deeper. You realize the version of success you've been chasing no longer excites you. And more than that, it's not yours anymore. You've been loyal to a career path, a brand, a role, or an idea of productivity that once fit perfectly. But like any Gemini worth their air sign wings, you're evolving. And the old identity? It's starting to chafe. May doesn't force a breakdown, but it does offer a series of revelations, some soft, some sharp, that bring your next chapter into view. The moment might hit during a call where you hear yourself say something that sounds like a lie. Or while you're staring at your screen, realizing you no longer feel proud of the work that once lit you up. You don't panic, you pause, and that pause, it births a new strategy. Around May 15th to 16th, expect a catalytic event. It could be a project stalling, a conversation with a manager, a missed opportunity that doesn't sting like it used to, or a brand new idea that won't stop tugging at you. It's not about jumping ship. It's about finally looking at the horizon with both eyes open. For entrepreneurs and creatives, this month is a masterclass in refinement. You may rebrand, shift your client focus, change your offerings, or redesign your systems entirely. Not out of urgency, but because the clarity has finally landed. You know what you're no longer available for, and more importantly, you know who you are when you're not proving anything. Your voice is key now, not just metaphorically, literally. Whether you write, speak, consult, coach, teach, or lead, your message is sharpening. You're not rambling, you're resonating. And the right people, clients, partners, collaborators, are magnetized to the clarity you're finally embodying. And let's talk about recognition. Because even if you're not aiming for the spotlight, it's finding you anyway. People are watching, listening, responding. You may feel visibility building, and yes, it may stir up some imposter syndrome, but you're learning that authority doesn't mean having all the answers. It means standing in your integrity long enough for people to trust it. This is also a key money moment. If you've been undercharging, over-delivering, or waiting for someone to offer what you deserve, May says, make the first move. Ask, state your rate, create your package, own your value. Because the energy you bring into a room has shifted, and people are starting to treat you accordingly, but only if you let them. For those in jobs they've outgrown, this isn't about rage quitting. It's about graceful evolution. You begin laying the groundwork for what comes next. You speak your needs, you document your wins, you watch for the opening, and when it comes, you walk through it without looking back, because the game has changed, and so have you. Money isn't just a currency this month, it's a mirror, a reflection of how fully you've been owning your time, your energy, your worth. And May brings you face to face with that reflection, not to criticize you, but to upgrade you. You've been doing the work, showing up, being adaptable, saying yes to things you didn't always love because they made sense on paper. But deep down, something's been brewing. A quiet knowing that you're not just supposed to be surviving financially, you're meant to be thriving. May offers a chance to rewrite your financial identity, not through guilt, pressure, or panic, but through honest, clear self-recognition. You begin to see where the leaks are, where you're spending from stress, where you're undercharging out of fear, where you're negotiating against your own value before anyone else has even spoken. It's humbling, but it's also empowering as hell. Expect a financial conversation bill or money decision to rise around May 18th to 20th, one that forces you to look at the numbers with new eyes. This might trigger a bit of discomfort, but lean into it. This isn't about panic, it's about precision. You're not just tracking expenses, you're tracking energy return. What investments are actually supporting your goals? What habits are draining your long-term security for short-term relief? What subscriptions, services, or business expenses are really just distractions in disguise? And on the flip side, where have you been holding back from spending in ways that would actually change the game? May invites you to spend with intention, not fear, to view money as a tool of liberation, not limitation. You might finally book the coach, sign up for the training, or hire the support you've been telling yourself you'll get around to. Not because you're being reckless, because you finally believe in your capacity to grow. And support isn't an indulgence, it's a scaling strategy. Some Geminis may also see an unexpected income stream open, an affiliate offer, new client, freelance gig, or payment that had been stalled. This is your confirmation. When you release financial shame, you make space for abundance. But here's the real pivot. You stop waiting for money to validate your value. You begin to act as someone who's already worthy of being well supported. That shift, it echoes across every financial decision, every interaction, every energetic exchange. You ask differently. You deliver differently. You receive differently. This month, your money is trying to grow up, to evolve into something more meaningful, more aligned, more free. And you're finally ready to let it. No matter how loud life gets out there, work, ambition, relationships, your soul will always whisper the same question. Where do you go to feel safe? Not productive, not impressive, just held. And in May, that whisper becomes a roar. It doesn't matter whether you live alone or with others, in a mansion or a studio, your relationship with home becomes a sacred project, one that's less about square footage and more about energetic resonance. This month pulls you inward, not to isolate, but to anchor. After so many external changes, your nervous system is begging for predictability, ritual, familiarity, and that's what you begin to create. It might start with something simple, the need to clean out a closet, rearrange a shelf, hang a piece of art that finally feels like you. But it quickly becomes more emotional. Around May 21st to 23rd, a realization lands, maybe through a dream, a memory, or a deeply grounding conversation, and you begin to see where you've been living without ever fully arriving. Have you been shrinking in your own space to make others more comfortable? Have you been holding on to things that carry energy you've outgrown? Furniture, gifts, photos, echoes of people who don't see the version of you you're becoming? May gives you permission to reclaim your environment, not out of vanity, out of vibrational necessity. For some Geminis, this may also involve family healing. You could revisit an old dynamic with a parent or sibling, emotionally or physically. Maybe someone shows up unexpectedly. Maybe a conversation opens a door that's been shut for years. Whatever it is, don't rush to define it. Just listen. You might begin to see that home was never about perfection. It was about permission, to feel what you feel, to stop performing, to breathe with your whole chest. If you've been contemplating a move, a renovation, or even changing your living situation, May offers clarity. It may not give you an immediate answer, but it gives you something better, a knowing of what you won't tolerate anymore. Loud roommates, unseen emotional labor, neighborhoods that don't reflect your spirit. You're done calling chaos comfort. This is also a beautiful time to set energetic rituals around your home. Burn incense, light candles, cleanse with sound, sweep the floors with an intention, not because you're being woo, but because your space holds your story, and that story is changing. And in the quiet, you'll feel it, your home becoming less of a container and more of a mirror, reflecting back the life you're finally building with alignment, not autopilot. So stay in a little more. Say no to plans that don't feel peaceful. Make soup, play music, rearrange the furniture, take the bath, build a home that honors not just your schedule, but your spirit. Because when your roots feel safe, your branches can stretch anywhere. May 2025 isn't just about breakthroughs and recalibration. It's also about pure, unfiltered delight, the kind that doesn't need an excuse, the kind that reminds you you're alive, dynamic, and, let's not forget, fun. The second half of this month is bursting with creative and sensual potential, especially once the sun enters your sign on May 20th. This marks the beginning of Gemini season, and with it comes a deep exhale, a return to lightness, to levity, to pleasure. You'll feel a pull toward the kinds of experiences that fill your cup without draining your battery. It's not about chasing a high. It's about reconnecting to a rhythm that feels like you. That starts with beauty, and not in the filtered, performative, externally approved way. We're talking beauty as a sensory language, the color that lights you up, the texture that calms your nervous system, the scent that brings you back to center. You may feel compelled to change your look, not to impress, but to match the energetic shift happening inside. A haircut, a new tattoo, an unexpected outfit that finally makes you feel seen in your own skin. It doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. And when you align your outer world with your inner growth, that's magnetic energy. This month also invites you back into movement, not just physically, but emotionally. Travel becomes medicine. It doesn't matter if it's a quick road trip or an overseas journey. What matters is the intention, to stretch your boundaries, to experience something new, to find parts of yourself in places you've never been. If actual travel isn't possible, you'll still feel this desire for motion. A new cafe, a different walking route, a weekend with no itinerary. Even short escapes can provide big perspective shifts now, because your soul isn't seeking a location, it's seeking fresh air. And then there's joy. Not the kind that looks good on camera, but the kind that sneaks up on you in a burst of laughter or a spontaneous dance party in your kitchen. This is what your heart's been missing. Not more strategy, more serotonin. Around May 25th to 27th, you may have a moment, a conversation, a celebration, an unexpected surprise that reminds you that life doesn't always have to be heavy to be meaningful. That joy is just as healing as every shadow you've worked through. And in that moment, something returns to you, your natural sparkle. The one that doesn't have to prove or explain itself. The one that draws in the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences just by existing. Gemini, you're not meant to live a life of endless introspection. You're here to connect, to explore, to play. And this month, you finally remember how. So let your beauty evolve. Let the road open. Let joy become your compass again. Because you're not just rebirthing your identity, you're reclaiming your light.